Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News at 6 starts now.
A campaign caper in Livonia after yard signs go missing and someone spotted taking a suspicious late-night walk.
It happened in the blink of an eye.
I didn't even know my baby was hit until I looked down the street and saw him.
Now this local mother is talking about the accident that's changed her life and her child's. Yeah, and that story tops our news at 6. The emotional story told by Tiffany Davis about the moment everything changed during what started as a normal walk with her son.
Someone blew a stop sign and hit them both. Tonight, with her son in a medically induced coma, Davis tells our Paula Tutman she's found at least one reason to be thankful.
10-year-old Darion Hyde is still in critical condition here at Ascension St. John in Detroit. Police say this Ford F-150, easily 4,300 pounds of steel, ran a stoplight and plowed into a mother and son on Monday. Tiffany Davis was escorting her 10-year-old son Darion to the bus stop. And then this.
I saw the pickup coming toward me, and I thought I pushed him out the way. I knew it was going to hit me.
The laundry list of injuries to Darion are terrifying. He remains in a medically induced coma for pain management. He has a crushed pelvis, broken left leg, back fracture, internal bleeding, and spinal injuries. There is a question of if he will ever walk again.
I tell you, he's in the bad. He's not it's lost for words, you know. So
He doesn't look like your little boy?
no, he don't.
We just need prayers. Everybody to pray for him because he got a long road, and they saying he's not out the woods yet, but God is a healer.
Yeah, so there is one small silver lining, and maybe it's a big one, and that is Darion's MRI does not show any brain damage. And so that is a positive sign. They won't know for sure what kind of shape he's truly in until he is brought out of that medically induced coma. But if ever there was a time for thoughts and prayers, this is it for this family.
Our thoughts do go to little Darion and Paula, but I'm wondering about the driver of the vehicle. Any information?
Yeah, so it's really not clear whether or not the driver tried to leave the scene or return to the scene, but police were able to find the truck and that driver about 2 blocks away. That man remains in police custody as of our check this afternoon. The paperwork was still not filed or completed for a potential warrant.
Yeah. All right, Paula, thanks.
Short time ago, President Trump holding his first news conference since Democrats launched their formal impeachment inquiry against him yesterday. That inquiry comes after whistleblower reports of a conversation between President Trump and the president of Ukraine concerning Joe Biden. Today, the Trump administration released a summary of that call. President Trump says he wanted the truth to come out and has spoken with Ukraine's president before.
Because I was getting such fake news, and I just thought it would be better. And now they're asking for the first phone conversation, and I'll release that too. I spoke to him previous to the call that we released, which was a very innocent call, very, very innocent, very nice call. And as he said, I wasn't pushed. I wasn't pushed, meaning pressured. He wasn't pressured at all.
Referring to whether or not he was pressured to investigate Joe Biden, now, of course, the president's chief rival in election 2020. We're also getting our first reaction from the Michigan legislators on the president's remarks. Congresswoman Brenda Lawrence spoke to us and says this impeachment inquiry is about protecting the nation and the office of the president.
America really needs to understand this is about the checks and balances, accountability, and about the rules and policies of the office of the president. If this was a Democratic president, I would have the same reaction.
And much more reaction to come tonight from around the nation as Lester Holt and the NBC Nightly News team bring us the latest in the ongoing drama in Washington ahead at 6:30.
My whole focus is making sure that the girls never look at me and say, why didn't you do more?
Breaking her silence. Her daughter's murder was revealed in part because of her breast milk, and now she's speaking out. And the defenders obtained new information on the case involving details of a murderous plan. That's right. 5 years after Christy Thompson Harris's murder, her husband is accused of putting heroin on her cereal.
Now, just a few hours ago, a petition was filed in court revealing some new information about the days leading up to Christy's murder and also some bombshell admissions from Jason's family. We bring in defender Karen Drew with the exclusive. Karen.
Well, Devin and Kim, what many don't know is Christy's family had filed a wrongful death lawsuit. The family telling me the point of that lawsuit was to be able to depose certain people and obtain certain information under oath. Well, what's in the petition that was just filed today reveals some of what they found out about Christy's murder.
Christy Thompson Harris was a mom of 2 daughters. She was just 36 years old when she was found dead in her Davison home. Her death first ruled an accidental overdose.
Disbelief. She had no history of drugs.
That's Kathy Mays, Christy's mom.
Very tenacious.
Mays is breaking her silence, talking about her daughter's death and the fact her son-in-law, Jason, is now charged in her murder.
Were you aware of issues within the marriage?
In conversations with her that there were things that were upsetting her.
It was Christy's saved breast milk that would later be tested by investigators to show the mother of 2 did not have heroin in her system. For years, the family kept quiet on their concerns as police investigated.
What was that like in terms of having that interaction with someone like that?
He is the father. We have to respect him. Acting out on your feelings could put a barrier, so it was important to maintain respect.
After 3 years of waiting and no charges, Christy's family filed a wrongful death lawsuit.
My goal has always been for the girls, and my thinking was, if this is something, I don't want them to ask me why I didn't do more.
This petition just filed reveals some new information from people who were deposed. It details Jason having a romantic telephone relationship with another woman. According to the petition, Jason Harris told that other woman his divorce had been finalized from Christy, while Christy was still alive. The filing states Jason told a neighbor Christy died as a result of eating drugs, a fact stated before the medical examiner had completed his report. The petition provides a chilling admission from Jason Harris's sister stating when she talked to Jason, he said he would have Christina murdered and then outline a plan. Who killed Christy Thompson Harris? Mays knows the road is long to get that answer from the court.
My whole focus is making sure that the girls never look at me and say, why didn't you do more?
Now, Jason Harris will be in court tomorrow afternoon for a probable cause hearing. Meantime, the family is organizing a fundraiser this Sunday to help raise money for Christy's daughters in Davison. I did post a link on that on our webpage, on the Defenders page. And what's special about this fundraiser, of course, they want to raise money to help these girls. They don't have, they think they're going to obviously need counseling. But at the same time, Kathy said, I want to have a celebration of Christy's life. It's been 5 years. She likes to scrapbook, and she wants everyone to get together and remember the good things, the good mom that she was.
Such an unusual story.
It's going to be a very interesting case, and obviously we'll be following it really closely.
Right, Karen. Well, after 6 months of Lansing budget battles, a possible state government shutdown still looms. That's where we are tonight after the legislature sent budgets to the governor who didn't participate in the most recent budget work. Our Rod Maloney in Lansing with where things stand as we count down to the deadline.
What we know right now is that there are 17 budgets that are actually on the way to the governor. By Friday, technically, she will have them all, and the legislature will have done its job to have a budget in time. However, it becomes the question of what the governor is going to do with those budgets. Will she accept them? Will she do a lot of line item vetoing? Or will she blow the whole thing up and shut the government down? In early September, the governor walked away from the process and now calls the budgets a mess. A surprised House Speaker Lee Chatfield moved on without her.
And because the governor was unwilling to work with us over the last couple of weeks, I'm very proud of our partnership with the House Democrats. Very proud that we got the budget done on time, and it's now in the governor's hands.
The governor ran on fixing the roads, and the budget contains $400 million in road spending. So you'd think she'd like that. Senate Majority Leader Mike Shirkey sure did. He agreed to strip out long-term road funding.
She must have forgotten that we made that agreement, because she's still kind of arguing over that.
Turns out the governor wanted all road funding dealt with outside the budget. And since she's not telegraphed her next move, there's concern over a possible shutdown.
There's no need to shut down government over differences of opinion. We don't have a budget crisis. We don't have a dollars crisis. We have a budget surplus.
Now is the time to put partisan games aside. Now is not the time for political rhetoric. Now is the time to come together, show real leadership, meet in the middle, and find a consensus.
Shutdown means she's vetoed all the budgets.
Okay.
That is incomprehensible to me.
And so what we're left to do here is to look at the tea leaves. And one of the things that we know about an entire government shutdown is that the governor would have to want to go to battle, essentially, go to war over the 45-cent a gallon gasoline tax. But it was her own Democratic legislators, the people on her side, who said no to that as well. So it's likely she's not going to blow the whole thing up, but we don't know yet. She's remained silent on all of this, and so we're just left to see how this all plays out. If she does break out that veto pen, we're likely to see quite a bit of negotiating in the next week or so. Back to you.
Yeah, Rod, really not much indication from the governor about what she's going to do. You getting any indication from her office at all about where we're headed?
Well, what they're maintaining tonight is they don't have all the bills. Now, they can read them online, but they don't physically have them so that she could sign them or do whatever it is that she's going to do with them. They spent the day in budget meetings looking at all of this, and it doesn't look like they've made a decision. It is likely that we won't see anything till probably Saturday, Friday or Saturday.
Which is getting us awfully close to the wire. All right, Rod.
Tonight, Clinton Township Police want your help identifying a suspected porch pirate. This woman was caught on camera allegedly stealing packages around 1 in the afternoon on the porch of a home in the area of Metropolitan Parkway and Moravian, and she may have left in a silver Jeep. If you have any information, give Clinton Township Police a call.
Well, after decades of trains blocking a road in Woodhaven, there might finally be a way around or perhaps over the tracks.
Yeah, state representatives announced they've secured funding for a bridge over the tracks at Van Horn Road. $12 million is earmarked for the project in the MDOT budget. That MDOT budget now goes to Governor Whitmer for approval. Additional federal money will be needed, though, to complete the project.